What's up YouTube? I'm Michael and behind the camera is Ellie. We're the Bill Paying Hobbyists. What do opal, gold, and flying have in common? We'll show you in about 30 seconds. Ready? Give it a... Let's get to it. This week we have a customer with a special someone going for their commercial pilot's license. What would be a better gift than this gold jetliner kit from Penn State Industries? The clip is a jet plane with twin jet streams. The end cap is designed after the front view of a jet engine, while the tip represents the exhaust. We're pairing it with this Fire Opal pen blank from William Wood-Wright LTD in Canada. I can't wait to see what these two look like together.
Here we are at the bandsaw. We're going to cut the blank down to size using my jig. I'll provide a link for all these tools and things that I use down in the description below. At the drill press, this blank is super extra long, so I had to drill it in two parts. You just want to make sure your brad point, the point of it, goes down through the bottom of the blank before you switch over. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. And I'm sorry about my elbow there. I put the camera in the wrong spot. We'll bottomed out with the drill bit. Flip it over. I got my little point where the brad point came through, and then I can just drill the other end. Make sure the tube fits. Good to go. Now we're at the workbench getting ready to epoxy it in. I use JB Weld 2-part epoxy. I love this stuff. Not sponsored. Equal parts of A and B, mix it up for 30 seconds. Get a good coat on your tube. Once it's in there, kind of move it around a bit, get a good coverage on the inside of your tube. Or inside of your blank. Now we'll set that aside, let it sit for 24 hours. Here we're cleaning out the inside of the tube from the glue, from the epoxy that dried. We want to get that out of the way so that the bushings will seat properly. And the bushings, we'll do a spacer, bushing, blank, bushing, and then the last spacer. And that just gives you more room when you're cutting. I set up my tool rest so that my chisel is pretty much in the center of whatever it is I'm cutting. I want the blade in the center. And as you can see, I have a collar on my tool rest shaft there that keeps me at the right height every single time with that tool. Nice, even cuts, take your time, don't get in a hurry. As you can see, the closer you get to your blank being round, the shavings that come off start getting longer and longer and longer. And that's how you, once it comes out in like one big long stream, that's how you know your blank is round. Shaping the ends just a little bit. Always good to have a toothbrush laying around. You can always use the toothbrush to get all those pieces out of your way. Now we got it down close to the size we want. I'm going to use my backer plate with some 120 grit Velcro sandpaper and an off-center jig in my drill chuck. Off-center jig puts the blank off-center from the sanding pad. That way I get more use out of the sanding pad and I'm not just sanding in the center of it. Yeah, make sure your stuff's tight before you turn it on. Turn the lathe at about 1,000 for sanding. And you're just gonna sand and you'll listen and you can tell when it hits Basically, you're just looking for the shiny end of the tube. Once your blank hits that, then you know it's the right size. Don't go too far because it is just brass and that tube will sand down. You'll end up making your blank too short. All done, put it back on the lathe. And I will get it cut down, the ends cut down as close to the bushings as possible without cutting my bushings. Remember, you're using a carbide tip, it will cut into those bushings. Once I get it as close as I want to get to the bushings, then I'll concentrate on the center of the pen blank and get it to however thick I want it to be. Since we're going with a straight tube on this one, I just try to keep it as straight as possible. After that, it's time for sanding. Start with a 180 grit with a backer plate, just a piece of 1/4 inch plywood. And that helps me try to keep the blank as level as possible. You know, you want it flat, you don't want ridges in it when you're holding onto your pen. It feels really weird. After you've got it smooth, then you want to turn the lathe off and go with the length of the tube to get all your swirl marks out. This will help it at the end when it's time to polish. Now that the 180 is done, I'll do the same process with a 320 grit. Then we'll use a 600 grit foam pad. Same exact process. Not putting a lot of pressure, just light pressure. I just want to smooth it out. And then I'll use a 1200 grit foam pad. Now I'm going to lay down a towel so I can do some wet sanding. I'm using Zona paper here. This Zona paper ranges from 30 micron down to 1 micron. That's basically, what is it, 1500 grit to 14,000 grit. And I'll go through the process, 6-step process. This is number 5 and 4. And you're basically sanding it until you, or wet sanding it until you get the little drops flying off the blank. Then you know that you've reached the end of sanding with that grit. Number 2. And the last one. And we'll wipe it off. And one little step here is a 100,000 grit diamond polishing compound. Gives it a nice luster. Once that's done, I like to use some Renaissance wax. Gives it a protective coat. It's just a wax and protects with fingerprints. It makes your shine last a little bit longer. Now it's time for assembly. These are just 2 little pine blocks that I turned on the lathe to use to press it together. I don't want to use a hardwood, nice softwood. The end cap presses in, and then we'll use a Schneider upgraded ink. Put the spring on, slide it in the tube, screw on the twist mechanism, and then that slides in, little compression fit. And there you have it.
The Jet Airliner pen kit. Pretty cool. It was a cool idea. The customer said, hey, my girlfriend's going for a commercial pilot's license, wanted something for her. I said, I got perfect thing for you. You got a jet engine on the end cap. You got a little jet here with some jet streams on the clip, and you got basically they're calling this the exhaust from the jet. engine as the tip. Little twist pen kit. It's really nice. One long blank. That's a very long blank, so you need to take your time on that too, because that's a long section that you could get all wavy. Make sure you do something to make sure it's as flat as possible. The Fire Opal. Is it Fire Opal? Pink Opal. The Pink Opal. I got this from William Wood-Wright out of Canada.
Canada!
It glows. It has an iridescent glow to it when you take it in the sun. It's beautiful. It's really nice. It almost has a mother of pearl inlay inside of it. It's pretty. He's gonna love it. I mean, he picked out all of this, so I'm gonna get this sent off to him. I can't wait to see what he says about it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something new. Please click the subscribe button. It's free. Costs you nothing, but it helps us out tremendously. I can't even talk today, especially if you want to see more videos like this. Click the thumbs up if you really did like it. That's appreciated. So is clicking on the share button. Share it with your friends and family. Thanks again for watching. See you next week. Please do something nice for a veteran today. We love you.